Hey, what's up? It's Kia with CareDocs channel, and I'm back with another video. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor, nor am I in the healthcare profession. I am just a concerned person who is seeing an individual gain a following off and is building a doctrine off of false information. Or not necessarily false, just incomplete or misunderstood information. And I just want everyone out there to always do your own research and get your own understanding. Don't rely on someone else's understanding because you don't want to suffer the consequences of someone else's mistake. I recall Eligio making mention to the fact of him getting new downloads and updating his previous information. And because someone was asking him why it appears his information changes. Once he says, the black woman is God, then the black woman is not God. So he says he gets new downloads and he updates his systems and his information, which is fine, except the information that he was giving, a lot of times people was telling him that it's wrong. So if you don't even have all the most up-to-date information, then how can you call yourself a master teacher? You are basically on the basic level. And I'm not trying to say he's a basic person or not intelligent. I'm just saying he jumps the gun and you putting the cart before the horse. And most master teachers have a whole life of testing and researching and being a subject matter expert before they build a doctrine. If you decide to, bring a crowd with you, just know that you are responsible for those souls. So their karma is going to be your karma. So this is like more of a warning to someone who is maybe wanting to follow in Nature Boy's footsteps. And one major difference between Nature Boy and a doctor is, or with, Western medicine, is that doctors, they are more ethical in a sense. Like, yes, the medicine industry is corrupt. They want to make money. They want you to stay sick so they can medicate you. However, you can find doctors that will try to tell you don't do these things because it's better to prevent something than it is to treat something and to heal yourself from something. And doctors also run trials. They run and they try to make it as safe as possible so that they don't harm someone along the way, because they are understanding that they are just practicing medicine. They are trying to find a way to reverse something or cure something. They're not out here getting a theory and preaching that theory as fact. They have a theory and they test that theory. So that's one of the major differences. I don't necessarily like Western medicine because a lot of doctors tend to over-medicate people, and that's what their first reaction is, to medicate you. But you can find Western doctors that don't like giving you medicine. I've been to doctors where I had to switch. Like, one doctor I'd go to, and the first thing she wants to do is give me medicine for everything, every symptom that I had. And then I had other doctors who I may have wanted something, and they were like, well, before I give this to you, let's do this, this, and that. Try this. So you have to know that you can't just trust one person. You have to do your research, and you have to look around and trust your instinct and your intuition as well. And I know that is easier said than done. Everybody doesn't have a mind that enjoys research and enjoys studying and reading. That's why a lot of people are afraid of the school system and afraid of hospitals, because it's something that they don't understand. But if you don't understand it, your response to that shouldn't be to go to someone else who doesn't understand it. Your response should be to get a tutor that has more of a better understanding, that you can trust, that that is giving you right information. And you don't just take logic, but you have to take that logic and you have to bring in some intuition with that. You need that male and that female energy. I know a lot of people are against the female energy, thinking that logic is better, but logic is not better. You also have to trust your gut, your intuition, or your feminine principles. Now, let's look at what a virus is and the cycle of a virus. Now, a virus is something that is foreign to your body that shouldn't be there, that attaches itself to a cell. After it attaches itself to the cell, the virus penetrates it, gets into the membrane, and then it starts to replicate itself. And then it becomes little virus particles, and it is released from that main host cell that it attacked. That host cell eventually dies. A lot of the healthy cells die, and these little viruses start to generate more and more. So that is why you become sick. This is the life cycle of a virus. Viruses can be cured. Diseases cannot. So once you get to AIDS, that's something that is a disease that, quote unquote, can be cured. A virus is something that, by definition, should be able to be cured. The flu is also a virus, and it has the same cycle. The flu attaches to a cell, it changes the cell, and then it's released from the cell. And it does this over and over again until there's enough antibodies that come in and fight off the virus. And that is when the virus dies and you are healthy and well again. Now, HIV is a little bit different because when it first came out, there was no antibodies. Like, our bodies really didn't know what this was. And a lot of people progressed from HIV to AIDS very, very quickly and died. And that is why HIV was looked at as something that was a death sentence. Now, today, a lot of people can live very long, productive lives with HIV. That being said, that isn't a license for you to go out and do risky behavior because it's just a virus and I can get rid of it. HIV is still a very serious virus, and you don't want to get it, just like you don't want to get the flu. People die from complications of the flu. So it's not something that you're going to, I'm just going to go out and pick up someone's snotty tissue and rub it all over my face because it's just a virus and I can heal myself from it. Why would you participate in risky behavior that can potentially give you a virus that your body is now going to have to fight off, which is a stressful thing? So yes, your body is going to go through a lot of changes to heal itself from this. But it's better to not even participate. Don't do things that will lead you to possibly obtaining this virus, which is very dangerous. All right. Now, antibodies come around when there is an antigen that is in your system that is not supposed to be there, or your body thinks it's not supposed to be there. An antibody is that protein that the immune system produces. This is the definition in response to the foreign substance called an antigen. Antibodies recognize and latch on to antigens in order to remove them from the body. A wide range of substances are regarded by the body as antigens, including disease-causing organisms and toxic material. An antigen can be a foreign antigen or it can be a self-antigen, something that is you're already in your body. Okay. Now, antigens are substances that are capable of stimulating an immune response, which is that antibody. And it's the body's way of fighting infection. So we have the foreign ones and we have the self antigens that are in your body. Foreign ones are viruses and bacteria, and snake venom, certain proteins in food. An example of the food protein that can cause an immune response is gluten in people with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease. So consuming gluten will make your body, it will basically damage your intestines and you're not able to digest food. So if anyone over there, and I believe a lot of people are concerned about Serenity, over in carbonation, and she is losing a lot of weight, and she said that she didn't want to eat, and that's the reason why she was losing weight. But I know their diet, they do eat a lot of grains and foods that have gluten in it. So possibly because she did say she had an autoimmune disease, if it's celiac disease and her intestines aren't really digesting her food, she is going to have pains, and especially in her stomach area around the intestine, and she's not going to be able to gain weight when she does eat. So that's something to be concerned about. But I do not think that she has HIV. I'm not sure why that came. Well, I know why it came about, but if anyone does have HIV over in carbonation, I hope that they don't spread it. And if you do choose to have sex with someone and they, knowing your status, chooses to have sex with you, and that person may get pregnant, please don't take chances with your baby's health. They have a right to have the most healthy life that you can provide for them. And if you knowingly have a virus that is in your system that can potentially cause harm to your child, get help immediately, okay? And I am not here to judge. You can live full lives with HIV. You can even be healthy with HIV. You can live full healthy lives with herpes. However, it does exist. Whether it was created in a lab or not, it still exists. And you should be aware of it so that you know your status, and you can let someone give you consent, informed consent. They need to know what you have and what potentially risks they are taking by dealing with you. Now, on to these HIV tests. The Eliza test is the 3rd generation antibody test. It tests for the antibodies. Now, we already said the antibodies are produced when an antigen comes into your system that it wants to fight. These antibodies don't show up. There's not enough antibodies that show up until 3 months after exposure. There's also a 4th generation test with tests for the antibody as well as the antigen. More specifically, what they're looking for is the P24 protein on the HIV antigen. This actually is information that Nature Boy Eligio shared, and it's talking about the Eliza test. And if you noticed, this was a research or a paper written in 1998. That was so long ago. There's so much more information now, but this is basically saying that the Eliza test, everybody can test positive for it if you do not dilute your blood before you run this test. And when running laboratory tests, most tests you have to dilute the blood, but with this one, he questioned why you had to dilute the blood 400 times as opposed to like 4 or 5, 6 times of other viruses. So he came to the conclusion that it's because we already have these antibodies in our system. And if the antibodies are there, it means that you have come into contact with the antigen in order for your body to have produced the antibody. It just means that you may not have had so many risky behaviors to the point where the HIV is growing beyond your body's ability to fight it off, is one explanation for that. And maybe we can credit evolution for that. So back in the day when Magic informed everybody that he had HIV, this was a headline on Time magazine. It says he's living with the AIDS virus. As we know, AIDS is a disease which cannot be cured, but he did not have AIDS. He had the virus that could lead to AIDS. Back then, they thought if you got HIV, you were going to die very soon. Now we know that's not necessarily the case, but you still don't want to get HIV. Anyway, that's all the time that I have. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace.